Good evening. I'd like to welcome or call to order the Rochester School Board, Rochester City Council Joint Building Committee to order on January 10th, 2024 at 6 p.m. We will welcome Councilor Kevin Sullivan, who is replacing former Councilor Malone. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Councilor Sullivan.
A little bit about my history.
Just a few minutes.
Well, I guess related to this. So I've lived in Rochester for, let's see, since 2005. So just my math. What's that, like 18 years just about? Yeah, almost 19 in a couple of months. I got two kids in the school system. So one in high school and one in Maple Street.
You live in the area of the school.
Yep. I live over at Ward 6 on Birchwood Ave.
And what's your occupation?
My occupation, well, it just changed. I was a long-time marine biologist, but now I am the Director of Offshore Wind for the state of New Hampshire, Department of Energy.
Nice. Good.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
He's got a young family. Appreciate you giving up more time to be on this committee. Thank you, Sarah, for wielding to me.
Yeah, no problem. All right.
Madam Chairman, should we say who we are to our new?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's start with introductions. We'll go right down the line. We'll start with.
Hi, I'm Dave Toddy. I'm the Director of Facilities for the Rochester School District.
Ingrid Nichols with Benwell Architects, the architect.
Alex Seller with Ty and Bond, civil engineer.
Patrick Crimmins on the time bond as well.
Gordon Bristol, the owner's project manager, basically work for you.
Keith Kelly, Director of Pre-Construction and Planning for Harvey Construction.
All right. Thank you. So item 1 on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. If you're able, please rise.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 2, approval of the November 13th, 2023 minutes.
So moved.
Second.
There being a motion and a second, is there a discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 3 is our architect updates.
Would you like this one or this one? The bigger one?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
So we do have a new plan. And while we're getting that up, our design development set, the plan itself had grown beyond the 68,000 square foot target that we had for our program. So over the last month and a half or so, we've been crunching that back down to what the Department of Education has approved for our project. So some of the changes that we did, and we had talked about a little bit before when we first started designing this project, we had a computer lab designed in that was really a want, and now that the students are one-to-one with the computers, we felt that we really didn't need it in the plan, so we took that out. We looked at the circulation spaces. Some of the stairs were a little oversized and pushed out, so we brought those in, shrunk those down. The bathrooms were a little oversized, especially for young, children of this nature. The kitchen, mechanical, electrical, all those rooms we could have tweaked down a little bit. And the gym, we tweaked 700 square feet out of the gym. So we're back down to that square footage that we were trying to target. We did keep the size of the lobby a little bit enlarged, because when we looked at that before, based on having this assembly space at the cafeteria, the platform stage, and the gym, this group felt that we could use a little more space, so we did not compromise on that. So that's the plan. This is the first floor. Second floor, because we did get rid of a large classroom space on the first floor, everything shrunk back a little bit here because we got rid of one of the classrooms. So it's actually giving more space for the playground area on that end of the building. And we still do have 2 flex classrooms, one on each level. So the layout pretty much stayed the same, it just shrunk back a little bit. The renderings we have for our base bid, we found that the previous design that we had a gable roof structure that really wasn't housing any mechanicals on the roof, it was just for looks, was very expensive to do, so we've actually revised that to this design. We also found that we had this long arcaded drop-off, covered drop-off that was, again, several $100,000s to do. So we've scaled that back, and we may still do an alternate that will be priced, but the base bid, we don't have that long covered. We still do have coverings over the entries, so they're protected, and we still do have a nice entry at the very main entrance of the building. So these are some interior images. When you first walk in, this is what you'd see. These are the glass into the cafeteria. This is the administration, and these are the doors that go out. And if you walk a little bit further, this is looking to the classroom wing, this is looking back at the gym. This is the conference room, and this is the cafeteria with the platform stage. And this is a view from inside the cafeteria, looking at the stage, looking out towards the administration wing and the main entry. So we tried not to take too much out of it, but we obviously have a budget that we have to adhere to. So that is where our project stands right now.
Okay, any questions?
The change in roof design does not alter the fact that it's still designed for possible solar.
Yes, the entire roof is designed for possible solar, yes.
It's not the same question, but it's also about the roof. Moving from a pitched roof to a flat roof,
Yes.
correct? That's what you did. Is there any higher leak prevalence with flat roofs?
No. It's still slightly pitched, 1/4 inch per foot, and you have internal roof drains with secondary drains. So it's a membrane roof that's at least a 30-year roof.
Okay.
I have a question. Where will the mechanics be
Sure.
now on the roof? Or-
Okay, yep, if you go to the second floor plan, you can see our walkway pads. So right now, and I remember your comment from the last time, we actually have a parapet here. So these, you access this second floor roof from the second floor. So there's actually a door right here with these dark gray lines are called walkway pads. So we have 1, 2, and 3 units over in this area. But we are screening it with a parapet that will come up to help screen
And
those.
will it be screened from the back side, the right side of the building?
This, yes, this is a whole story. So the roof
Oh.
of this is, about 12 feet higher than where your units will be. So the building will naturally screen it.
Okay, great. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next on our agenda, item 4 is our civil update.
So just wanted to give you folks an update on where we are with the site civil design. What we did in the past few weeks was look at focusing on the circulation and updating our drainage design with coordination with the state permitting. And what we came up with was we removed a access road on between our wetland here and our property boundary here. And we focused on just having a simplistic design so we could have a single exit out so that we're not adding an extra intersection in this vicinity here. And with that, we added a above-ground stormwater detention system within that bus loop here. We were able to get additional play space in the more functional areas here and here with a building reduction on those sides of the building. So we were able to take advantage of that area for some cost savings to get some above-ground storage. And then in this layout. This is the utility plan update. All that really changed here from the last time that you've seen it was the sewer force main connection. Instead of proposing that we're going to be tying up at the Ida Circle, at this point we are proposing to go to Salmon Falls Road, so we're going to be following this path here. It's a long path, but to get to where we need to go to the pump station up by Eagle Drive, Terra Estates property, there's a pump station there. We have to go follow our property line down and hit Salmon Falls Road, which is in the works with the TRG group at this very time. Other than that, no significant changes to utilities. Next steps for site civil design, we're preparing our sewer connection permit with the state, so that's going to be submitted within the next week or two. And we do have comments back from our stormwater review with the AOT department, and we're working on preparing that submission back to them. And we have later this month, we'll be submitting to the TRG group for, I believe, the first week of February meeting. Yep.
Yeah. Matt?
I just have a few questions, if you don't mind, Madam Chair. I see there's a turn lane now built on the entrance.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on how that came about?
Yes, so if you can go back to the first, yes, this one here. So with our traffic study that we worked through with our traffic department, we have a preliminary design shown at this point, which is still to be vetted by the Department of Public Works at the city. So we're showing a turn lane coming into the site from the south, I believe. Arrow up, but to take a left-hand turn into the site, we have a queue of about, I think, 75 to 100 feet there to allow for traffic to flow by, obviously, for passing traffic. And we do have a decel lane to take a right-hand turn into the site. And that obviously is a preliminary design, and we're working with the city right now as part of that TRG process.
Just additional follow-up. On the parking spaces, how many parking spaces did you guys finalize in your plan?
71.
71? Okay, what was our minimum expectation?
It was about 70.
Okay. And lastly, is that traffic study ready for our review?
Yes, it is available.
Okay.
Yep.
Will that be sent to us?
We can do that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Kevin?
Thank you. I'm not sure, so obviously I'm planning a little catch up.
Oh, yes, sorry, I should have walked you through some circulation probably, huh?
What's
I
that?
should have walked you through some circulation.
No, you don't need to slow it
Sorry
down
about
for me.
that.
No, I don't need to be the weak link. My question was, and maybe you're not the most appropriate person to ask, but how much of this, for this road design, the site plan, are there still wetland crossings?
No, so our wetland impacts were, in this site plan, no wetland crossings. And we had initially gone through some concepts where we had vetted out doing a wetland crossing and having our queue, which is our parent pickup drop-off queue, which wraps around the building, which is why you see this kind of snake pattern here. That's to accommodate about 270 to 275 parent pickup drop-off queue. So that was intended to, at one point, cross the wetlands so that we're no longer doing that.
That's fantastic. It's really good for the environment there, especially because that was a concern, having membership on the Conservation Commission, that was a big concern with that group, so that's great. My other question was, how much of it is in the buffer? Anything?
Within the no disturb,
25?
within the 25 no disturb, we're not impacting except for one area in here where we have some, this dash line, that dark dash line, that's your 25-foot buffer. And we're also showing a 50-foot buffer and how we're impacting that. We're only impacting the 25-foot buffer where we're demoing a shed that is currently there. We'll just grade it out. That's what we're intending to do.
That's great, that's a lot to fit on there.
Yes, and then on this side, it's the same. That's why we have this retaining wall here, so that we're not impacting that buffer.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions, Tim?
So a couple of things as well. The utility
connection headed out for the pump station there. Was the initial plan to go over to Ida Drive and?
That was our initial concept, yes.
And is that, are we just not doing that because that's not an accepted city street yet? Is that what's happening?
With where we're at with the DPW, they recommended to go to
Find alternative?
the Terrace State at this time.
Okay. And then, also back to the traffic study, I mean, I think quite a few of us have been kind of sitting on the edge of our seat for a number of months waiting for the traffic study and report to come out. So I wonder if, other than just sending it to us, if there would be an opportunity, like to have a presentation to explain it and tell us this is what it means and this is how it's going to impact the traffic, because that's probably the biggest concern of the neighborhood, of the residents that we've had speaking to us. I think traffic was certainly right at the top of the list of concerns. So if there would be an opportunity to have a presentation that would demonstrate how traffic is going to flow, I think that would be helpful.
Understood. Yeah, we will be also working with the TRG on that particular point as well. Our traffic engineers will be, sorry.
We can make that an agenda item for the next JBC to present the traffic study.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the civil? Thank you. Next item is item 5, Part B, budget review.
I was gonna go up, but I'm only gonna point at numbers, and everybody has it in front of them, and they can see it there. I don't have a big showy presentation for its numbers. So, happy to report we're on budget. We were targeting a $27.5 million construction budget. This is independent of the total project budget that Gordon will be speaking to a little bit later. The estimates are broken down by divisions of construction, CSI, Construction Specifications Institute, standard of the industry. That's what those numbers on the left represent, so division 1 through 33 are captured here. We did have great feedback relative to subcontractor participation in the area. So for a DD level estimate such as this, we were pleasantly surprised with the activity that we received with feedback. So these represent true market temperature relative to costs. So we're feeling very comfortable relative to the budget where it sits today. Obviously, with the construction documents coming out, we've included some contingencies that are the lower numbers that you see down there in insurance bonds and contingencies and fees at the $2.8 million. That's made up of all of those things, and we're providing those numbers as protection for all of us going into the construction document phase, in which we'll go back out to the market in the February, March timeframe, so that we can come back here in April with our proposed GMP, guaranteed maximum price. So the short story in that is that it's on budget, we're trending well. As Ingrid had alluded to in her presentation, there were some adjustments to layouts and floor plan and spaces so that we could maintain that budget and feel comfortable doing it without giving up programmatic elements. So it's really trending quite well, and we're very pleased with how it's headed.
Any questions? Yeah, Alex.
I noticed electronic security doesn't have any amounts here. What's the reason for that?
That particular line item is carried, I believe, on Gordon's side. That was one thing that we carried in our estimate initially, and then it goes over to the owner's SAU side of the budget, so we don't carry it on our side, it would be carried on that side.
Got it, thank you.
I can toss out to you, we carried some rough numbers on things such as that, so we'll go down through here. We have things like sound system for the gym, wireless access points, $50,000, IT routers, $50,000. Continue on down through security, $175,000. So even though you don't, those are carried on the owner's side, and we'll pass out to you and send to you this elaborate sheet.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is for you or for Kyle. I know the state's been, I know the city's been, school department's been getting some of that state grant money for security. Will some of that be able to apply to the new school?
Not that grant. So Mr. Toddy just secured the SAFE grant, and we're using that for window film. So it's the window film that you put on windows to tint, but also to make them shatterproof.
Yeah.
So that was, I believe, a little under $600,000 that you secured, right, Dave?
Yes, in the most recent round of Stronger Connections grant through the DOE. We've also received SAFE grant dollars, but you have to apply for existing buildings.
Okay.
So we can't apply for grants on this building yet,
All
but we're
right.
certainly looking at every other avenue to help support that.
And Mayor, what we've had success on other projects, down in Wyndham and Allenstown, is as the project is being built, we apply for what I call the governor's money there.
Yeah.
And we have been very successful to get $100,000 to $200,000. So we carry 175, for example, for security. We don't take for granted that we're going to get anything from the state. If it does, then that 175 that we'd had can go to something else that within the project.
We could certainly bring in our executive counselor, there's
Correct.
5 of them in the state. He's actually went to school here, his daughter just graduated last year, so, and he's big into helping City of Rochester, so if you just communicate with him, maybe we'll be able to find some money. Thank you.
But for now, and what you're going to hear me talk about when we get to it is we're not going to count on any of that.
Right.
But we are going to be chasing it.
Yeah.
Still more questions though on Harvey's stuff.
Alex?
Yeah, just to follow up, you said 50,000 for wireless access points, 50,000 for routers. Are those just placeholder numbers for now, or have we done an analysis of what we actually expect? Because just on the surface, that sounds a bit high but I don't know how many wireless access points we're
Placeholders.
talking
At the
about.
current time, we're trying to do placeholders so that we don't get into this and run short. So if any, we don't overinflate it, but we look at what we spend on other schools around us and put in an approximate amount. A playground, again, a playground would be the same thing on your side. We carry a certain dollar amount, but then you may decide you want more things or less things, but placeholders for now.
Thank you.
Intelligently. Any more for Harvey? No, then.
We'll move on to the owner's representative report.
So where are we? I will talk slow because there's a lot to digest, but number one, we have a project. That's what's exciting. You've had a project for some time. You had been generous enough as a community to allot some $33,518,000 for this project. The Harvey side amount comes in, as we see tonight, at $27,452. We had thought that would be, we allotted $27,500,000, so we're a little under. And then on the owner side, the items that we talked about, a laundry list of what's called owner's purchases, came to $5,994,000. So at the current time, we have spent a total of $33 million, or we are projecting $33,446,000 if we put our pens down right now, and you have $33,518,000 allotted to the project. So the success that we bring to you tonight is we have a project that can be buildable. So that's the budget, and where are we now? And what we will be providing you after this meeting is we'll send out to you, the Harvey has about a 10-page breakdown of all the detail. We're not asking for action tonight, we're doing the action. So we're going to provide you with information to take back, which will be a detailed breakdown of each of their divisions, as well as a breakdown of what the owner's side is going to have. So you'll get to see what those line items are, because you should as a committee. So that's what's, one question, I'll ask my own question. How do we know we can be there from where we are today, and we bid this thing out, and we come back to you, as we said, in April, with a guaranteed maximum price? Well, number one, Harvey has been going and been putting in there, working with actual vendors. So those vendors are real companies that have said, we can come back to you in March and bid this thing and do it for this. So we use real actual vendors, not just a formula, if you will. The other thing we have in the budget, you'll see a $400,000 line item for inflation. In the event, with a typical 4% inflation this year, you could have $300,000 inflation in the first quarter of this year. We have $400,000 set aside. If inflation isn't that bad, that will be all money that can, again, go to something else that you'll choose along the way. We also have two contingency items. On the construction side, there's 1.256, so almost 1.3 million that is contingency. These are things that come up throughout any sort of a project. You're gonna put some concrete in and you suddenly hit a piece of ledge that you didn't know was there, you should have known was there, but now it costs $5,000 to take it out. Well, rather than fritter about it, we keep a certain amount for emergent issues. So too on the owner's side, we have $625,000. Let's say we were to get to, we use IT as an example, and for some reason we decided that we wanted to be more elaborate. And you said, I want 100,000 more spent in the IT world. Well, we would grab it from that. So we keep, and our history of doing construction projects shows that those are good dollar amounts. So I'll take a breath there before we go on to items that we have under study to see if you have any question on the budget in general. Yes, sir.
Thank you. So this is just about contingency. So unforeseen issues like ledge, et cetera, that's a good reason for contingency. My question was unforeseen inflationary issues, which is a big issue now. So if there are inflationary problems that arise, is that going to be covered by the person who bids it under their contract? Are they going to be locked in at the price, or is that going to be us to cover that?
Short of a catastrophic failure, which every contract has that sort of catastrophic failure, God forbid you had another 9/11 or something, short of that, normal things that can come up, such as a pandemic. I'll give you an example, a real-life example. In Allenstown School that I was involved with, they went and asked for their bond amount, and then along came this thing called COVID, where everybody stopped working, and then some went back to work, and then you had supply chain issues. We had about a 15% inflation factor to have to make up. There was no new bond vote. You make it up within the project. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to hedge inflation and hedge problems. I'll give you some examples of things that Harvey's already working on. Number one, you look at the steel that you're going to need. We're not going to wait until May to buy our steel. We're going to go out there now and say, we don't know what the building looks like, but we know we need 200,000 pounds of steel. So like soybeans, let's buy them. We're going to do that on the school side. The reason we have firm figures on school furnishings, so we can go and buy them in the first quarter of 2024, even though they won't be installed until the summer of 2025. So we're doing some hedge against inflation already. So again, short of a national or international catastrophe, we should be okay. Now, technically, the contract's written that yes, they come in with a guaranteed maximum price and they say, come heck or high water, we do it for this. But we work as a team, and we think we can buy things in advance and we'll lock people in and lock the items in. Hope that's a satisfactory answer to show that we've got our heads on about it.
Yeah, I mean, locking in the price with what we've seen in recent history. As many contracts as you can have signed before construction starts. That's a set price. It could end up being more than you would have paid at the end, but at least it's not going to go higher. That's good.
They have a good amount of hungry vendors that want to do this. And the nice thing is you have a nice fully funded project, 33 million. People want to spend that money in a good way for you. So you're going to get healthy bidding. And in a future meeting, by the way, we'll talk about that, but you may have some names you wish to add to our bid list. But more questions?
Sure. One, the supply issue, the switches, you only hear about the electrical switches. We good on that?
Electrical switches, the same thing. We're talking to Ingrid's group because that's on the mechanical, electric, and plumbing side. We will probably find there's two parts of that. One is your transformer out in the yard. So we're already talking to Eversource about, they've already looked at our needs. So they've already began penciling in based on what we've drawn that it's going to be this size electric. We won't go and pull the trigger on it, but Eversource is already talking to us. On the inside, which I call the buckets or the panels, the big one that comes in the building, that we will get an early lead time. Those have about a year to a year and a quarter lead time on them.
Yeah.
So if we're starting now and we want to be open next summer, we will be buying that thing as soon as you give us the GMP okay at the April meeting. Yes, April meeting. When you say, here's the GMP contract, go for it, it'll be bought the next morning.
Additionally, the mechanical rooftop systems and boilers, all of those kind of things, that we'll purchase them as soon as possible, which hedges against inflation, but it also counters the long lead time.
Yeah.
And the early indication from Eversource right now is that the transformer lead times, which had been running in excess of 24 months, are back down to a more reasonable 12 months. So we're in great shape for that.
Thank you.
And Mr. Mayor, just to give you a real-world example, again, in Allenstown, we had the problem of not being able to get the bucket that went inside the building. What we did is we went to the manufacturer, we paid them, which was wrong, but they held us up for it, we paid them a $20,000 fee in order to put us at the front of the list.
Yeah.
Well, when you start looking at $33,500,000 and what you're holding up, that $20,000, although it came out of the kids' books and pencils, it was the best $20,000 we spent because the school's up and running now.
Well,
So we do have things up our sleeve to negotiate with these folks.
good to hear, thank you.
Then lastly, I guess I've already done that, Thunder, is I was
Morgan,
hinting at, oh,
We have one
excuse
more
me.
question.
Sorry?
Matt.
Oh,
I know we talked about protection against inflation, but some of these prices are coming down lower. I know it's a guaranteed maximum, but is there an audit of their invoices to verify that they did buy that cheaper than originally bid out?
Yes, in fact, he could echo a phone call we had yesterday in which we said, we're going to have healthy bidding on this project, was what we said from the owner side. By contract, they're obligated to, on each one of those trades that they showed you, to go out to at least 3 bidders. They'll go out to more, but they bring 3, and it's all open book. That's the nice thing about the project that you've done now with their construction manager program, is everything's on top of the table. They get paid a fee, so they don't make, so when they bring it to us, if it's $1 million, they get their fee. If it's $900,000, they get their fee. They are working for us, not as part of the team. So yes, we watch the prices go up and down because of that.
Thank you.
Any other questions before you?
I was just gonna say, Keith, not to put you on the spot, but could you just explain to the JBC what the Procore software is?
Sure.
For monitoring all of that?
Yep, so I believe I'll echo our interview, but for the new folks and maybe not remembering our interview in particular, but we use a system called Procore. It's an online, web-based, international software database that basically manages everything we do from now, as soon as we were awarded the project, until we turn it over to you from a closeout documentation. So RFIs, request for information with the architect and the engineers, is all followed through there. Photographs are taken and posted to that. So all that access is available to anyone at any time, anywhere in the world. So it's quite powerful in being able to track and log all of that information. Our subcontractors are done through that, subcontract agreements are done through Procore. Our owner of invoicing is done through Procore. So all of that is completely transparent and open. And to Gordon's point, if I can just hit on that a little bit, if bids come in less than what's in our GNP, that is all shown. It's all the bid tabulations and the supporting documentation that supports that recommendation that we'll make to the board will be in the front of any of those recommendations, be able to see that. And then that money's, if there's a windfall in any one category, there's an opportunity to take advantage of some of the things that we might not have had in the project before, and we can start applying some of those funds when we agree to that as a collective. So it's really a collaborative effort in that part of it.
This actually might be to tie and bond, but going back to the submission of the to the city of all the plans and whatnot, what kind of turnaround is there to get any answers or changes that we might need? If anyone can answer that.
So that's a good question. It can certainly vary, but we already are in the process of receiving comments and working through those with the city, so we're hoping to just expedite as much as possible. And upon our meeting in early February, we should hopefully have the understanding that with what we have at that point, that we can move on from that point to final design.
And to help mitigate that turnaround, if I can jump in on that answer, we held an informal presentation of plans with police, fire, and DPW prior to the TRG, which is the formal review of those documents. So there's nothing new. People have seen pretty much everything that we're putting on the table. And there are a few changes, but nothing earth-shattering. We've already received a lot of feedback.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions before Gordon concludes? Okay.
And just to conclude, and I've already hinted to them, but some of the ways that on the owner's side, what are we looking at? We've already looked at classroom furniture to get a price so we know that we can fill up a building with X amount of dollars, so we know those are real figures. And once we get the final figures of everything together, we'll go ahead and purchase those things, as I said, right now in the first quarter of 2024. And kitchen equipment's just another low-hanging fruit that I throw out there. You can spend $300,000 on kitchen equipment. Something with stainless steel in it could go up overnight crazy. So we've had kitchens sitting around for a year before. What we do, however, when I say that, one of the things we do to protect you is if we buy something in advance, we work with the manufacturer that their warranty does not begin till it goes inside of our room, so that we aren't having it in a warehouse somewhere for a year and that's using up the warranty period. So we protect you with that, in that regard, on everything we buy in advance. Kind of overstayed my welcome. Anything else you want? The next steps are, I guess this would be Ingrid's wants to speak to a little bit of this.
So now that we have a revised plan and we are on or under our budget, the design team is going to proceed to doing what's called bidding or construction documents. So for the next 8 weeks or so, the engineers, tie and bond, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, structural, will be finalizing our documents so that Harvey can go out to final bid. This estimate that they showed tonight was just kind of a point in time to make sure what our project shows is on our budget. Then as Ty and Bond had said, we're going to go to this city technical review in January and February. Civil is going to complete the AOT or stormwater permitting. Harvey will bid out the project in the month of March. They said it would take about 4 weeks to bid it out. And then we will be back in April to review those updated bids with you.
Can we just add the traffic study
Yes.
review
In February,
presentation
yes.
in February, please?
Sure.
Next steps. Anything, Tim?
So I had, and excuse me if my memory fails, because it does quite often. But I remember, I think maybe it was in October, September or October, that we looked at the different designs, building designs, and kind of picked what we liked and what we didn't like, et cetera, and gave that direction. So these renderings that we have tonight, that's what we're considering now to be pretty much the final.
So that's going to be our base bid. So that will be our baseline design so that we are to budget. We are going to do what's called add alternates that we will price out to give options for you to look at. For instance, the canopy, we will scale it down quite a bit, but we still want to add a small canopy to be priced in addition to our base bid. We're looking at the siding, the white siding that's above the brick on the academic wing. Originally, we wanted a metal panel that looked like siding for maintenance issues. We are going to look at possibly hardy plank as a cost savings opportunity for you to decide when we get the final bids. So we want to structure our project, the base bid that we know will meet your budget, and then we'll have these add-ons or choices for you to make.
So at what point, maybe during which month, will we see those, and will we get kind of some more renderings that show the different angles and what the building will look like from the street and what it looks like from a butters on each side?
We'll have an update in February.
Perfect. Thank you.
Maybe Ingrid, tell them a little bit about your 3D modeling that they're going to be able to see as we go
Yes,
along.
so we use a program called Revit now, so it's done all in 3D. So we can literally walk you through the building and show you the interior and the colors on the walls, and we utilize it to do finishes and to fly around the building, and we'll enter our building into the site now that we have a resolved site. So we'll be able to, see it as you'll see it in real life.
So when you, going back to the cost for the alternates, when you're showing us the upfront cost, will you also give a discussion of how the difference may play out in terms of maintenance costs over the lifetime?
Sure. That would be helpful. Yep. Windows are another, flooring is another, but we want to be sure when we get the base bid we are on budget. We don't want to come in over and have to take things out. And it's good because the bidders know we're looking at different types of products, so they, you know, it's not just one product we're saying you have to do.
And what material would be on the outer wall of the gymnasium? Is that cinder block?
That
or
is, yep,
cinder block?
concrete masonry. And we still do have brick. We have quite a
Yeah.
bit of brick, and we've used it at the base around the entire building to protect that splash.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, we haven't taken away the brick, which is nice.
Yeah. And we still have, is that granite that is running through the brick? Is there a line of granite?
At the bottom of those columns.
At the bottom, or, well, yeah, at the bottom of the columns, but also below the windows, there was a,
There was a band, yes.
A band.
Whether it's precast or granite, that's another one we can easily call out as an alternate.
okay. Any questions about next steps?
Oh.
Matt and then John?
It's not so much a next step, but more of a question. I know in previous meetings, we've talked about impact with neighbors and wondering, have we made any decisions on what that's going to be as far as preventing any sort of noise to either circle or in the other direction, whether it's noise or whether it's light? And I know that in the past, we've reassured our neighbors that if they have suggestions on things that they want, whether it's a specific type of fence or a berm or trees or bushes or what have you, that they need to reach out to us too, because we don't know what their preference is. So I don't know if anyone has an answer to that.
Alex can speak to one example, was the neighbor to our left had water runoff concern. And in your latest drawing, it addresses that.
Right, so, yeah, this drawing here, if you look to the bottom right of the image, you can see it's a bit hard to make out on the scale, but there's a drainage basin adjacent to the road. It was added at this location here, which was in an effort to capture stormwater there, treat it, detain it, and discharge it in a controlled way to the drainage soil that follows Salmon Falls Road. So that was an effort for that, as part of that comment.
The MEP design, also all the exterior lighting will be in line with what's New Hampshire night skies?
Dark sky
Dark skies. So we'll certainly be looking to that. And the elimination of the road that we saw in an earlier iteration on the, what is, I think, the northeast corner on the, it ran directly behind the 3 lots along Salmon Falls Road. There was a roadway there, that's been removed. So that pushes the school further back into the woods away from population.
Okay.
After Don?
Yeah, I would ask Mr. Toddy if you would speak with Director Norris at Public Works. I'm assuming we're gonna have concrete sidewalks in, around the school. Because when we did the DPW facility, the first winter, we had a lot of problems with spalling because a key ingredient was done incorrectly or something on the sidewalk. So I would ask that you get together with him and find out what it was that was the problem. And
So we use probably more salt in schools than any other public building, just because of the, you know, the
Right.
vulnerable population in and out, and the numbers of people in and out every day. And a lot of our sidewalks, we're looking to do them as bituminous now, as opposed to the concrete, because everywhere I put in concrete, I have the same problem, I have pitting problems. 'Cause
yeah,
salt
well,
and
it
concrete
was some
don't
kind
go.
of a treatment in the concrete that was done incorrectly.
I'll make a note to reach out to
But,
Peter and
yeah.
get some input, thank you.
So,
Thanks. So basically both of those comments kind of go together. I was thinking the same thing about the neighbors, and that's great. But I was hoping that you mentioned it, that it would include more natural fencing, so, you know, using landscaping or native plants are even better, but that's gonna shield vision and sound, you know, and it's gonna have less maintenance hopefully. It's a little better for the environment than putting a fence there. And the same thing was about the runoff that somebody mentioned to the neighboring property. Have you guys put like rain gardens on the edges
So we're using a combination of gravel wetland, which is that one that was just pointing out by Salmon Falls Road, as well as the surface sand filter, which is in the bus loop there, which is where, almost centered to the site. You kind of see the contours there. So we're not using rain gardens. We're using a different approved treatment system that's more applicable to our site.
But if I may, the whole process speaks to runoff.
Right.
Because as we go from natural permeable surface, you start to put in hard surface, you create more runoff. So what they do is they calculate the exact square footage of every bit of hard surface that's been added. And then from that, they can determine the increase in runoff, and that's how they then size all of their detention systems, are sized based on how much we're accelerating the runoff. And the final calculation has to be a net zero. The runoff from this property, this property will discharge at the same rate it did before this project was built, that's what Ty and Bond is tasked with. And that's state regulations that goes under review from the state, so we have to hit the numbers.
Yeah, and I completely understand that. I just like to explore, I mean, there's a lot of projects in the city that we look at, we try to promote rain gardens. It's just, you can use natural vegetation, things like that. It's also a good educational experience for students at the school. But I'm late in the design, so.
No, I understand.
It's more of a response than a question, in response to Kevin. Several months ago during the meeting, I had brought up the buffer, and the landscaping guy, I wish I could remember his name, he's here for a few of the meetings. Gordon, yeah. He's got a bunch of native trees that he's putting through out there. That's the plan, right? He asked me, he said.
We have a landscaping plan that's working.
Yeah. That seemed to be, it was during one of our public hearings, comments, and it seemed to, folks who were here seemed to like that idea.
All right. Any other questions? Okay. Next item 7 is other. I have one other. So now that we are starting to get the finances provided to us, it's important that the school board and city council add this to their agendas as a running update for a committee, and to include our monthly minutes, the status reports, and financial reports. So we'll just make sure that we add those to the agenda.
Yeah, I brought that up to the chair. Under the RSA 199.3, Section 3, B and C, that one of our responsibilities is to send out status reports to the school board and the city council. Of course, we've been in, the development stage right now, but now we're starting into spending money, so we should start thinking how we want to, who's going to do the report, what's going to be contained in the report. We want to be transparent as we can be with our respective boards and councils. So I'd like to know how we're gonna do it,
Yeah. In the past for the school board, the chair of the JBC would just report out in our full board meeting under additional committees, and we would give an update, right? You've been the chair in the past of JBC. And then what would be included in the packet?
As much, we'd look at the minutes, and as I recall, we kind of review the minutes and what we approved.
And the financials would be part of that?
Off the top of my head, I don't remember. I want to say.
If I can, I'll just bring up, I put an email to the chair. What we need to do, our duties is prepare and submit monthly status reports relating to construction progress to the city council and the school board, and prepare and submit monthly financial reports relating to the total authorized construction budget and expenditures to date to both the city council and the school board. So those are reports we need to get out each month. We don't have to do it right now, but obviously April's coming pretty quick, so I'd like to know how we're gonna do it. I mean, we're gonna get the information from, probably Mr. Toddy, is that?
Ms. Kelly will probably be our business administrator.
Yeah.
Will handle all the billing, and she's got her eye on that line, and I'm sure we can provide monthly reports.
All right. Yeah, we'll submit it to, when I do the agenda, we'll put it in our report in the month, whenever we're ready for it.
And then maybe
Yeah,
Dawn
Donna
as
can do it under,
chair
yeah, Dawn will do
do
it.
the update for City Council.
And for the, I think we're targeting for April till we get the actual GMP. This is a DD GMP
Yes.
design document. So I'm thinking after we have committed to a GMP is when we could start having financial reports, because we'll have a real number.
Good. Great.
Yes.
I just wanted to throw out one other, and this is kind of a new problem for Rochester, that we haven't had to name a school in a long time. And at some point, the school will be branded and named, and part of that branding and naming is gonna affect and inform the work that Banwell does. If she draws a school and it's all green and we decide that they're the Blue Whalers, it's, you know what I mean? Like, at some point, we have to kind of figure out what this thing's gonna be. And I have no idea what that process would look like. I look to you, the elected officials, to just put that in the back of your mind, that this school will need a name and a brand at some point, probably sooner than later, because we're gonna be picking colors for walls and panels and that sort of thing in the not too distant future, so.
Alex and then Matt.
I'd love to hear what the community wants to say, so any opportunity that we can have public input on that, not just at these meetings, but open up, maybe put it on the school board, the district website, the city website, soliciting suggestions, maybe even a poll, even maybe bring it to the kids.
Yeah, that's
You
what I
know,
was
talk to teachers or principals and have them put it out there and say, hey, name your new school, and then we can bring that here and take all that input.
I'm just echoing, that's what I was saying, and a contest actually for the community and students would be a great idea. Because they can maybe name their school, give suggestions to schools, maybe a school logo to be in the mix too.
And mascot.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Does anyone else have anything under other? We were going to work on the Q&A for the website. Sherry sent it to the committee members on November 16th. And we were gonna look at those questions tonight and go through them one by one and see which ones we can answer and which ones we wanna put on the website. So, and Matt, I think you started working on them, both Matts actually.
Yeah, I'll call her, put the,
You said that, Chair, we're gonna go one by one.
Yeah.
Would you like me to start? So the first question that we had was who bought the property, and there's some tentative responses. I was recommending that we put it as the City of Rochester purchased the property after approval by the Rochester City Council. Though this property will be used by the school department, all city property can only be purchased by the City Council.
Do we agree with that, Alex?
I would just ask, and maybe there's a better place for this, but is it worth addressing some of the questions we had about what the process was to find this particular property, right? Because I know that was a lot of the feedback we got, and really saying something about, really making it clear to everyone that many places were evaluated, there were public notices put out seeking people to offer land, so just really, I think, addressing that in this answer would be useful.
Yeah, I think if you put in like, what was the, because obviously everybody's heard the same thing about how they pick this property. If you just had like the minimum, just the basic, like, what did the property need to have? Need to be at least this size, blah, blah, blah. That would be kind of, maybe that would help some people see, oh, that's why you couldn't use the existing, things in that property or whatever.
I would just, part of that too is to add that, was other city-owned property examined for the school? Because it was, and that's the question that comes up there all the time still. The city had land to use, no, we didn't. So I think that needs to be explained out there.
Okay. All right, the next question was, will redistricting be done? That's yes, it will be done. Yep.
I mean, I think, I'd like the answer to be a little bit more than just a simple yes. I think we should probably try to address, I know Kyle has spoken at times about how to do it equitably, and fairly, and with it, minimizing disruptions, so I think trying to address all those points would be wise.
How many schools will close? We've answered that. Nancy Loud, School Street, and the modulars at William Allen and Chamberlain.
Should we put specifics? I believe it's 5 modulars, isn't it?
Yes,
So maybe we ought to
5.
put the number 5 in there.
Modulars, yeah.
So maybe modular classrooms as opposed to just modular, because
Yep.
the public may not know what that means.
We might also want to just mention roughly how many students are impacted, between those two schools and the modulars.
But I'm a little hesitant on that answer, because when you look at the study that you folks did in 2021, the school population between 2011 and 2031, that 20 years, drops 24.6%. So if we put in there now that we're only closing 2 schools, another year or 2, we may close another school. So I'm just a little hesitant on locking it in at 2 schools, plus the modulars.
Well, I mean, could we hedge against that by just saying that the plan now is
Yeah.
to close these at a
Yeah.
minimum?
At this
and we'll-
point.
At a minimum.
and we'll evaluate other options as the project goes on, right, or as the needs evolve.
And then the next question, are we too far along to move the site to other properties mentioned, or have the school district purchased, or has the school district purchased a different property?
Well, too far along for one, and there is no other property. Because to answer the previous question about what properties have we looked at should answer this question as well.
Yeah, I would suggest maybe we remove this because it's been addressed, or if we change the earlier answer, it will address it. And then, the answer here is, I think we would want to change that from what it is. I mean, saying the city buys the property, I think doesn't really address the point of the question. So I would just.
Yeah, eliminate it. Same thing with the next question, there's a Franklin Street property available for sale now, that's irrelevant, we can eliminate that. How will other students feel being in substandard schools while these students are getting a brand new school? It's a tough one.
It's no different than any.
I would challenge the framing of the question,
Yeah,
to be honest,
right.
because that's basically, I certainly wouldn't put that out there as that we've got our kids in substandard schools, right? So I challenge the premise on that.
I think one of the notes in there might be that we're eliminating some of the substandard conditions with modulars and with a couple of the older schools. So that's the goal, is to, or one of the goals is to eliminate those substandard conditions.
So if I may, the Department of Education reviews our facilities at all of our schools, and all of our schools are passed facility inspections at their most recent time. So we don't operate substandard schools. The question really speaks about equity, and this project seeks to bring about greater equity across the elementary spectrum.
That's a better wording, for sure.
And how will you establish our identity as a community school, moving from where we feel safe? I think the question was centered around neighborhood, not the school design. Yeah, or the location, I think, on Salmon Falls Road, I think.
There's multiple questions in our open forum about this.
Yeah.
One constituent brought up, how we protect us if there's an event of a, unfortunate school shooting. That would be the same instance that you have with any one of our schools. Unfortunately, if you live nearby, that's why there's usually notification out there. their emergency services to let us know that it's emergency at the school, it's locked down, whatever it is, and then you accommodate as needed. But our focus is always the building in which we are responsible for, which is the students inside.
Yeah, and I think also it related to neighborhood school versus out
Out
there
in the-
and.
I think one of the things we talked about just a little bit earlier is incorporated in helping to make, for this to become a community school is the naming process, by including the community and the student body in the naming process. It will be, that school is going to become a community for the kids that attend there, so.
Just to add, I think anytime you have a new school, whether it's a rural area like this one, or whether it's an inner city one, or what have you, the school creates that community. The students, the teachers, the parents, everybody involved makes that community. I work in a school that's a year and a half old. We moved from a very old, decrepit, falling apart building, near condemned, to a brand new building. And it is a totally different atmosphere, and we are creating our new community. And it's just how things work when you have something new.
And how will low-income families obtain their free meals when the school is so far in the middle of nowhere? They still will receive food services that all the elementary schools receive. We use Fresh City. Yep.
In the summertime, Kyle, you might be able to confirm this, but I think in the summertime, the entire city gets their meals at the high school, right? So it's not each individual school.
No, there's a couple of different sites, but it's run through community partners. So community partners basically asks to establish sites. If they wanted to put a site at the new school, I'm sure we would gladly do that.
And if I may, it's not necessarily in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, it is rural. It's, a half a mile, 3/4 of a mile further down off of Portland Street. So, I mean, it's, what, a mile and a half from downtown, so it's not exactly in the middle of nowhere. Many communities in the state of New Hampshire have schools that are very rural, even more rural than this one, so it's not uncommon.
Can you see the school from Salmon Falls?
Yeah,
Oh,
we
sorry.
have Kevin as well.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I was just wondering for that, because that's what I thought the question was addressing was the summer lunch program. So I guess Kyle could probably do that. How many people, is it like half the people walk in and do that? Or is it like a small percentage walk there? Because I know, I think there was one in East Rochester. Yeah. And so I don't know, I mean, that's obviously pretty dense. But how many people walk to those?
So that's not our program, so we don't monitor the numbers. It's community partners that does that. So again, they utilize our kitchen at the high school to prepare the foods. And then wherever they put satellite places, is kind of their call. We afford them the opportunity to use schools if they ask.
Yeah, so because I think that's probably what the question is getting to, is you're not in a dense neighborhood where kids could just walk there during the school for something like that. But then, like you said, you just wouldn't use that as one of the sites, because yeah, it is probably a low density area.
Then site design questions. Can you see the school from Salmon Falls Road? We should be able to see the school from the road. Yeah.
I mean, it's probably just an opportunity rather than just saying yes to say, why we've designed it with a, aesthetic that fits in with the environment that, the surrounding area. It matches the character of the area it's in. I think that's an opportunity to speak about that there and that answer.
I do like the cupola that's still there.
Yeah.
Thanks for keeping that in, Ingrid.
$20,000 of it.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I would add that the school, though it is visible from the street, it is set back
It is,
100
and down.
and something feet.
Right,
Do we know how many feet off the street it is?
more than 100,
Yeah, a few hundred,
yeah,
maybe,
maybe
yeah, just quickly.
500-ish.
Or you just say
Yeah,
it's set
about-
back
about-
quite a
About 500 or 600, yeah.
500 feet
Mhm.
from the street.
Okay. And then what will be the water impact? So we have the study done, yeah.
I think the biggest concern that people have had is about the runoff, and what we've talked about tonight is just what needs to be the answer, which is describing how we use these containment systems to, so that the end result will be no net positive increase in runoff from the site.
Sarah?
Yeah.
And I think we need to add in there that none of this is touching wetlands. None of it. That's a big thing out there too.
Well, I think once you have the stamp in April of here's the final, this is what we're doing, and this is what we're paying, we really can't say any of these designs are 100% done yet, in my opinion. So our goals are, which is what's being outlined, until this is a final approved, like, sealed contract, that's when you can say, and this is what will happen. And then after you say this is what happened.
Yeah, okay. And then the next question, similar with water flow.
Same.
Yeah,
Same.
same thing. And then water runoff, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
With all the salting, sanding around the school, how will this affect the environment, groundwater, wildlife? That's similar.
I see we turn that over to the experts.
I know, engineering. Yeah.
Chair, I think maybe if you wanted to forward any of the ecological ones to Alec, he could give you chapter and verse on how we are not going to exceed state standards in any way, shape, or form.
Okay,
Right, so we're in current review process with the Alteration and Terrain Bureau to look at those treatment requirements.
okay.
I think something wording in there is that there are many, many eyes on any type of project like this. There's, federal, state, and local regulations that govern all of these water issues, runoff, mitigation, et cetera. So it's not this board that's making any of those decisions.
Right.
And we will conform to.
That's right,
Yeah.
you
Right.
will conform,
State
or
law.
there will be consequences. So
Yeah,
these people put their licenses, their engineering stamps on these plans. They make sure it's done right before it is approved.
Madam Chair.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead. No, I'm not gonna cut you off. Go ahead.
Just for a point of, just on the working document, there's T&B for time bond as
Yeah.
a category that, for them, just refer the questions to them. So for our, focus of time, I think the SAU questions are what we should review now.
Okay, so going down to the next SAU question would be,
I did have one comment.
oh yeah, sorry,
So it
Kevin.
goes to what the mayor said. I think the wildlife portion of that, I think it's a great comment that we say that we're gonna meet or possibly if you're gonna exceed the standards is better. But if you were gonna meet the standards, but the wildlife issue, if you can point out that the design doesn't impact the wetland buffer, that it was, I would put in there that it was redesigned to not have wetland crossings and impact the wetlands. But that's really focus on wildlife. The more you keep it out of the wetlands, it shows you're making a concerted effort to protect that.
Thank you.
All right, the next SAU question would be, can we create a wildlife sanctuary in the land behind the school?
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
I would just say that that could be a part, we'll consider this in future review of what our contingency is. Do we have the money available? And I don't know what goes into making that happen. I'm looking at you now.
Yeah, well, this is just a comment, that this came up at our Conservation Commission, is that possibly the city could seek, like outdoor classroom, grant to build an outdoor classroom, since you are so close to wetlands, and
Yeah.
you could do that, you're not right in the middle of East Rochester.
Yeah, all right. And then, there was another question about outdoor classroom plan. Why is there an outdoor classroom plan, concerns about safety? The next one, will the city commit to building sidewalks on Salmon Falls Road?
Can we go back to the outdoor classroom
yeah,
question?
sure.
I know many schools have an outdoor classroom. My school has one. When I did the playground at Garnet School, we created one there. So there are safety plans for this, to maintain the safety of kids at all of these facilities. And it brings the classroom outside of the four walls of the building, which is great.
All right. So the next one, will the city commit to building sidewalks on Salmon Falls Road? I don't think that's really
I was just
the
gonna say, I mean,
project.
that'd be a question that you'd have to send to city, or city council, ask them to discuss and review. That's not the answer here.
Well,
Yeah.
sorry, maybe I misheard, the mayor is distracting me.
That's why we all sit down here.
The sidewalk question though, I think, even though we don't necessarily know yet, I do know that we've talked in here about the possibility of waiving the minimum distance for bus pickups for
Yeah.
students, and that may be something that we wanna address
could
here
put
if that's
there.
our plan and that's the way we're gonna go to alleviate some of those concerns.
Yep, that's a good point. Okay. Okay, and I think our air quality standards required, so I guess that would be, I don't know if it's outdoor or indoor vehicles maybe?
Was it a question, somebody had COPD, they were worried about the exhaust of the
Yeah,
buses?
from the
And isn't the policy is, that they're not idling out there, right? Correct. So that's how it was dealt with. It was this exhaust from the buses.
And cars, probably.
It was, yeah, it was the buses.
So we have no idling allowed, and then indoor air quality will be improved over existing school building environments. And then, how do other schools deal with idling and for how long?
It's not really for us to say, right? I mean, it's, we
That's
control which is our no idling policy.
It's a review by administration, school building, you know,
We can do signage.
signage and walkthrough, best as you can. If it's -10 out, it's a hard judgment call, right?
And then, so I think that was it for the SAU questions. Do we have any other questions we want to add to this that we can think of?
I'm sure this is gonna be a working document that we'll add over time, and I think it's a good beginning. If anyone in the public has more questions, they can reach out to anyone.
Okay.
So what's the process here? Is someone going to aggregate all this into a draft that we can review and then publish?
Yeah, maybe by the next meeting. Anyone want to work on that? I can work on it, share it around, pass it around.
If you want to put it in Google Doc, I'm sure we all can
Yeah.
share some link, we can review it between now and next week.
Okay, so I'll take the lead on that. All right, and so that's it for the Q&A. The other I had, we had mentioned press releases, if anything new has come up. Is there anything from this meeting that we would like to send along to our PR?
Well, my concern is I've had conversations with a reporter for Foster's who covers this, and she still has the old drawing where the property goes over the wetlands. That's why, I'm sure that's why Kevin brought it up, is, so somehow we've got to get this information out there to the media, that this is not crossing wetlands, and I don't see why we can't show them the designs of the school and even the costs. So is there a way you can put it on the website?
It is.
What we
All
looked
the
at today,
changes-
just make it public, right?
It's on there right now.
Yeah.
So,
Do you think you need to point it out though, because I will say that I have heard that it had been changed not across the wetlands. And I still hear, and I've told people, no, it doesn't, and they say, no, I haven't seen that. So I think, even if it's up there, I think you should probably do some note.
Could we do a press release, Kyle, to include the most current renderings and site plan to show that and then just explain that it's
Yeah,
those updates?
if I may add it, yeah, send it out to the Foster's report, or here's the update of the school, a general type of press release where we're at with the school.
You may have a little more cachet with Foster's reporter than I do. I contact her all the time, and she doesn't pick up anything we do in regards to school awesomeness that happens in all of our schools.
We've had a-
So maybe you could kick the can for me.
I kicked the can with her already about it, but I will again.
I have good contact
for her, I'll talk to her.
Mayor Callahan,
Yes.
could Matt Wyatt do a press release? The city?
If you could work it out with the school folks.
I just wrote a note to talk to
Yeah,
Matt.
talk to
Yeah.
Matt, do a press release, we'll put it on the city thing, and then we'll have them send it directly to the Fosters.
Yeah, because Matt.
With the new
has-
drawings. Because she just did one of the last articles she did, even after I told her, look, it's not crossing the wetlands. She still had that same drawing where it was crossing the wetlands.
Yeah, and Matt has offered to our committee
Yeah.
to do that, to help us out, to get things
All
out
right.
there too.
Yeah, it's my pet peeve on that, thanks.
I'll listen to him.
All right.
All right, does anyone else have anything under other? Okay, next item is public comment. If there's anyone from the public wishing to address the committee, please state your name, address, and limit your comment to 5 minutes.
Oh, you'll be next to me.
I am. Want to get next to Paul Callahan.
All right.
Hi, how are you? I just want to, first of all, congratulate all of you on your newly elected positions. My name is Karen Stokes. I am a school board member for Ward 5. I wanted to address the concerns. I had emailed Kyle earlier this week about the school board not actually being aware that there was a meeting tonight. Our city charter states that the first meeting of the school board is the first meeting where we elect and assign our committees. That didn't happen because it's due tomorrow. I did address Kyle and I emailed. We weren't told about it until his Sunday night email, which was 3 days ago. So even the school board that's part of this committee wasn't even told about it. So I thank you for addressing the transparency because there is none. New board members, and there's 2 new board members here, were not even included on emails. When they asked about any committees that were coming up to get their new computers, they were told there's nothing until our first board meeting, which in all the 12 years that I've been on, that's our first school board meeting. So I am saddened by the fact that we weren't able to have this meeting next week when the school board had more of time to inform our new board members. So unless it was word of mouth, which luckily we are in communication with our new board members, there was no email to them letting them know. So that's a concern where we're board members and we're not even made aware of the meetings tonight. So I'm a little bit upset that we couldn't have made this next week when we had our full board meeting and we had been able to assign our committees. So I am hoping in the future that there's more collaboration between all of the school board. I think you guys are doing a great job and I know that it's very difficult, which is why I'm here to say that I think there was a little bit of miscommunication. But that was it. Thank you very much. Great job tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public wishing to address the committee? Say it.
That was Alex.
Sorry. My name is Tabitha Davis. I am a resident of Rochester. Karen Stokes, you're sweet, you're too kind. I'll be the mean one. There's a new school board meeting tomorrow. New board members. Again, the 3 board members that are on this committee, can you explain why was it such a rush or an emergency to have this meeting? I think it's pointless. There was nothing an emergency about it. It all could have waited until next week with a new board. So I hope the new board members who are watching, hope there's a new chair and it replaces some new people for this joint committee. Congratulations, Kevin, on the city council. So I do have a question. The idling. The buses do idle while they're in pickup line. The parents idle while we're in pickup line. Parents show up an hour before school's out because of the line is ridiculous. So idling, yes, there is. I know you guys said no, but there is. And there is a lot of cars. And then the parking, you said you needed 70 parking spots. You guys did 71. Woo, went over. My question is, it's the biggest elementary school in our district, so there's more kids in it, there's concert, there's open houses, there's staff. How are we going to get parents parking when there's events at that school? Because you got the staff members and that, and it's on the main road, so they can't park on the main road. That's a big concern. Another question, I know you said that you had to minimize the gym. I wasn't sure if you said you had to minimize the classrooms upstairs. If you didn't, okay, cool. Because the classrooms upstairs are already small. The layout looks great. I'm looking forward to the new board tomorrow. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public wishing to address the committee?
Ray Wayman, 55 Ida Circle. Let me just state, I don't represent our entire subdivision. I speak on my own. There's some tussle between the subdivision about that. But anyway, first of all, thank you, board member, for mentioning the neighbors. We do have concerns with the school. Obviously, it's in our backyard. I'm not opposed to a school. I'm opposed to the location. But I have more on that, too. If we can have input on the barrier between our neighborhood and the school, who do we write to about that? Because I'll certainly pass the word around the neighborhood that we can contact somebody if we can have some input to trees or a brick wall or razor wire or whatever. I certainly appreciate the opportunity and you working with us. I mean, it does affect us. It's in our backyard. So if we can have some input on the design of that, somebody contact me. Mr. Todd, you have my email. Let us know and I'll pass the word around the neighborhood and maybe we can have some input. I know there's, in that field there's a lot of beautiful trees there. Just maybe they can just be retransplanted to the border there. That would be a useful thing. Did I hear also that that paper road is not going to be used for utility? Is that correct? Because that would make us super happy if you're not digging there all summer. Is that true?
At this time, it's not in the drawing to go that way.
Okay.
Might it go that way? There may be another occasion to bring that up, but right now, that's not the way that it's going. But I do have to leave the
Good.
door
Because,
open.
I mean, if you're not there digging all summer, that's fantastic for us, right?
If we do dig, sir, just so you'll know, we have to have proper dust control in place.
Right.
So if you get your laundry out, we're not blowing dust all over you.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I can appreciate that. Obviously, it's construction. We expect some dust to blow over from the next 2 summers as it is. You can't control dust rising in the air and the wind. But I appreciate the efforts. Thank you for that. Fantastic, because if that road is just left alone as it is, I think that's great. Or emergency access only, crash gate, that's fantastic. Makes us happy. Makes me happy, I'll say. I'll spread the word around the neighborhood. I just got a nice email today. Seems like the city bought a nice piece of property right next to that school building. Price undetermined, maybe. But good move to purchase that piece of property. The city council did. Whoever fostered that, great idea. But how much will that change the plans for access to the school? Seems like you have room now to maneuver and mitigate the problem around the curve. I know some people kind of stunned. How do you know that? I got an email from the city today. It says there was a secret meeting on October 17th to talk about the land, and now Rochester GIS says the city owns that land. And I talked to the neighbor, and the neighbor said he sold. So that's how I know. But good job purchasing that piece. It mitigates some of the potential tragedies that could happen there. So thanks for thinking about that. Could have been done earlier, but hey, May is better than never. Thank you. Good day, Jim.
And just to help you on that, Alex's drawing does now reflect the driveway going through that property. So
You have a copy of it?
thank you, sir.
You have a copy of the drawing?
It's in the PowerPoint I gave you.
All right, is there anyone else from the public wishing to address the committee? There being none, I will close public comment. And is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
There being a motion second, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion